And today we are going to be covering every single current WWE champion ranked. Now, there are currently 10 champions in the WWE. Well, technically, if you have your tag team champions, there are 13. But there are 10 titles that are currently being held on the main roster by various wrestlers. Now, we are going to be going over every single one of the current reigns that is going on with each one of these belts and ranking them from S to D, because there isn't really anything that deserves to be in that F category, save maybe the Speed title. But we will be beginning with those world champions, starting off with Nia Jax. This has been a surprisingly good reign from Nia, who had a pretty bad run in WWE for most of her run in WWE until she recently returned, won the women's title, and has actually been a very entertaining character on SmackDown thus far. She's a bit of a dominating heel, has had a solid, array of matches that she's had, facing off against Chin, Bayley, this, that, and the other thing. I think she had another match against Naomi, and all in all, she's had a very good reign so far, so I can't put anything lower than A tier here. It's something that we didn't really expect to see, because when a lot of people when she came back were like, oh, Nia Jax, she wasn't very good in her first run. Do we really want to make her champion? And then she became champion. People were like, yeah, she cool, because it's been a very entertaining reign for her. Then we move on to the current undisputed WWE Universal Champion, 80 bazillion other words, Cody. Whoa. As you very well know, I make that sound every time because whoa and row sound very similar. Cody has had a bit of an up and down reign. A lot of people have considered this to be a great reign. A lot have considered it to be a horrible reign. I personally kind of find it somewhere in the middle, maybe in that A to B tier, because while the match quality has almost always been excellent, the Bloodline promo feud has been questionable. SmackDown up until like 2 weeks ago was pretty bad for almost 3 months, I would say, because a lot of it was repetitive, not very interesting. The Bloodline were everywhere over the show, but I do think over these past couple weeks it has gotten to be a bit better. Now it's on USA, it has a new logo, has a new theme song, a bazillion different other things. Now he's teaming with Roman at Bad Blood against the Bloodline. I'm saying blood a lot in this video, but I'm going to be putting it in B. I do think, even though yes, the past couple weeks have been a lot better, those previous weeks have still offset that, so that it can't be in that A tier. But if we continue on this shorter trajectory, hopefully getting away from the Bloodline, then I will be pleased with the run. Then we move on to the Women's World Heavyweight Champion, Liv Morgan. This reign has been questionable, to say the least. There have been a lot of things where you're like, oh, we're doing that now, or no, we're doing this, blah, 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 blah. And she won the belt at Night of Champions. Okay, cool. She defended it successfully against Rhea Ripley. Okay, cool. She's going to defend it again against Rhea Ripley at Bad Blood. Okay, cool. What else has she done? That's literally the only interesting thing she's done as champion. You've had those tag matches. You've had those intergender matches on Raw. But as a world champion, it doesn't feel like that. It feels very much like, what's a good way to put this? Your friend has stolen something you own that is very good and, very high class, like a nice watch, for example. And then they're flaunting that watch, like, hey, look at this, guys. And then when they start getting asked about it, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't really know a lot about it. My grandma actually gave this to me. And they're being a little weird about it. It's kind of giving off that same aura, to say the least. So it's going to be going in that C tier for me. I think you can argue that B tier as well, but I do want to see some higher match quality before we can bump it to that level. Then we move on to the last world champion, probably the best world champion, The Get it on. Gunther. As I've said previously, I am not Ludwig Kaiser, but I can get pretty close. Gunther has had a very good reign as champion, winning the belt at SummerSlam. Basically, all of his title defenses have been immaculate, and I think the entertainment value of his run has been very good. The promo segment with Bret Hart on Monday was really funny. I'm still remembering the line, if you haven't seen it. Basically, he's talking to Bret, and he says, you're actually really good. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, And because of that, you are my second favorite wrestler of all time. Second only to none other than Bill Goldberg. And it was so good. I think his promo ability has improved greatly. I think his wrestling ability has stayed incredibly great. And I do think he goes in that S tier of champions, probably going to be the only person who ends up going in there. And is that a bit of an overrun from the IC title reign and the thank you gap between the IC title reign and this title reign? We're kind of rolling over? Yes. But I do still think this has been a very fun reign for him. Then we move on to L.A. Knight, and the United States Championship. He won this belt also at SummerSlam from Logan Paul. He still has a render using Logan Paul's arm, if you look at the render on the screen. And I think it's been okay. I don't think it's been great. I don't think it's been particularly bad. I think it goes right in that middle tier with Cody. Because you've had a lot of title defenses. He's defended the title quite a bit. He's defending against Andrade next week. He defended it, well, he won it from Logan. He defended it against Santos. And there's been a lot of work around the U.S. title. And he's been at ringside, been on TV, cutting promos. So he is still, on the televised product. I'm a bit rusty, so give me some break. But he has shown that the U.S. title is not just the belt that Logan Paul had and never defended. It is an actual title, a prestigious one at that. He hasn't had a lot of time to show that off, given Gunther did that already, but in the same amount of time. But even still, it's been a solid reign. I do think that there could be a little bit more, could be a few more title defenses, maybe being on pay-per-views more. I don't think he's been on a single PLE since SummerSlam. I may be mistaken for that, but even still, I do think it's a solid reign nonetheless. I don't think that there's anything else he could really do himself to change that fact. I wish he would defend the title on pay-per-views, and that's about it. So the U.S. title is okay. Let me see about that pay-per-view thing I was talking about. So I was right. He has not defended it on a pay-per-view at all yet, and given he's only been champion for like a month. However, he's defended it twice against Kaiser and Santos, Andrade next week, and he's defended it on Fatal 4-Way live events, an obscene amount. He's defended against Ilya, Ludwig, and Shinsuke. Huh. Oh, and Sheamus, so cool. Anyways, we are going to be moving on to the international. Whoa, this is not AEW. This is not, who is the international champion? Roderick Strong? No, he lost it to somebody. Will Ospreay. Oh my gosh. I feel like an idiot. Because the last time I watched like an AEW show, other than when I did my All-In stream, was when Roddy was champion. What show was that? Was it World's End? No. Who did he defend it against? Orange Cassidy? I'm going to do some research on that later. But I'm getting all distracted. Intercontinental title. Bron Breakker is your champion. Also having won the belt at SummerSlam. You're sensing a pattern here. And it has been a pretty good reign. It feels like a classic, rah, I'm a monster. Nobody can beat me kind of reign. Similar to Gunther's, but in a younger way, I guess is the way I'm going to describe it. It seems like how, not how Hogan would hold his world titles, but how Goldberg would hold the title. Given, pretty sure they're not related, but they're very similar in concept because Rick Steiner's his dad, so that's cool. But what was I going to say? I don't know. The point is that it's been a very entertaining reign from Bron. I do think that this title tournament that he will show him facing off against Jey Uso will come out into a at least good TV match. Once again, I'd love to see him on pay-per-views more. What you gonna do about it? Oh well. But good is what I'm going to give this. I think there could be more done because he hasn't had that many matches for the belt yet. I don't think he's actually had any for the belt yet. I can't really rate him any higher than good. And, if he defends the title on pay-per-view and then he defends it on TV, then the rating goes up. And then etc. But let me see whether or not he's defended that title on pay-per-view or at all. He beat Sami Zayn 2 out of 3 falls, and he beat him in a street fight on SmackDown. It was a dark match. So cool. Anyways, I'm getting very distracted today. Speed title. Actually, I was saying like, oh, no, nothing deserves the D tier. Actually, there is another tier for this title. Let me just speed title. Hell. Enter. All right, there we go. We just. Moving on to the Raw Tag Team Championships, whatever their name is, the pizza belts as I call them. I do think that Finn and JD have had a kind of disappointing reign. I always forget that they're even champions. It's one of those situations where, remember when the Judgment Day of Finn Balor and Damian were Tag Team Champions, but they almost never defended the belts? There you go. It's a very similar aspect to this, except now there's only 2 belts to look for, not 4. So it's even harder to tell that they're champions. So that's why I'm going to be putting them in C right next to Liv. I don't think they're the worst in the world. Obviously, they're 2 great wrestlers. But I never remembered that they're tag team champions. And their reign's been kind of dismal up to this point. So, I don't know what else you want me to say. Then we have the women's tag team champions. They very recently won these belts back. You can't really say much about this current reign, but if you combine it with what was going on right before then, and then their reign previously, I do think that you can put them in that B slot. They are a good team. Could they be better? Absolutely. They could definitely be better, defending the belts more, this, that, and the other thing. Would that also bury the women's tag team division? Yes. So I'm perfectly fine with what they're doing right now. Then the final tag team champions as a whole, the Bloodline. Now, this is probably my hottest take today. The Bloodline are going in A tier. And you might be thinking, what? The Bloodline in A tier? That makes no sense. They're not good. The Bloodline minus Solo Sikoa is incredible. The Bloodline with Solo Sikoa is mid at best. Solo Sikoa, if you couldn't tell, is not very good. Therefore, without Solo Sikoa, these guys go like S tier maybe. With him, they go like B tier. And as such, right in that A slot is right where they belong. Think about what they did on NXT. Their promos have been legitimately good for some reason. I keep going back to that NXT appearance because it was so shocking and incredibly well done. And notice, guess who wasn't there? Solo Sikoa, because he is not very good as a leader or a wrestler as a whole. Sorry, Solo. It's just truth. Anyways, that is my listing. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think there's something I missed, something I left out, anything like that? Make sure to let me know down in the comments down below. Make sure you have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good ask, good whatever. Make sure to watch any former or future episodes on this channel. And goodbye.